Hi everyone, I'm super excited to share this specific content with you because it's something that I struggled with for a really long time. It's something that is a process that has changed for me quite a bit. I would say that with every new coach that I've onboarded, I've maybe tried something different, which has created sort of an inconsistency in my procedures, in the success of my coaches, understanding what works, what doesn't work as far as onboarding is concerned, and just ensuring that I'm serving my new coaches to the best of my ability. And so I finally feel confident enough in the process that I've created to create this training video so that each and every one of you can kind of gain some insight as to an onboarding process that I have complete confidence in, an onboarding process that has essentially been created because I failed forward, and an onboarding process that I think is 110% duplicatable, which is the most important thing. It's and onboarding a new coach is definitely something that you need to tweak to fit your style and your personality. But I'm hoping that these little tips and tricks and sort of processes that I go through to onboard a new coach will serve as benefit to you as you start to grow and build your own team of coaches. So the first thing that I want to preface this with is letting you know that I know exactly how it feels to have a new coach sign up and they're super excited and they're ready to get started and you don't know what to do with them. You can tell them to go to their back office and to go through all the training videos and this, that, and the other thing, but that's not always enough. And they will lose their momentum and they will give up before they even start, which is not what we want. But at the same time, I also want you to keep in mind that it's not your responsibility to make sure that your coaches are successful. It's your job to be their cheerleader, their voice, their motivator, and to just really lead by example. You need to relieve yourself from the burden of telling yourself that your coach's success is up to you, because it's not. We aren't cookie cutter coaches, we're not cookie cutter people. Which is kind of the beauty of this business, is we can just use the resources provided us by Beachbody and by your upline coach, and as you change, just make it your own. And that's exactly what I've done with this onboarding process. I don't want you to feel pressure to do exactly what I do. I just want to share what I do in the hopes that you can find something that works for you based off of these specific processes. So the first thing that I wanted to kind of hit on is this little kind of caveat note. Before I spend my time on anything, I ask myself two questions. The first is this going to create a valuable resource? And the second is this going to contribute to my vision of community? Now, these are two things that are extremely important to me, but your two things may be different. It may be, is this going to help my challengers get the best success, which obviously is something that is very important, or whatever other question you may have in mind. But I want you to think about what those questions are for you. What questions do you need to have the answer of yes to before you spend your time on something? You know, as business owners and entrepreneurs and coaches in general, a lot of our time growing and building our business is taken away from family time, time with our kids and spouses and our friends, and all of those things that we probably did before we were an entrepreneur. So ensuring that those things meet the criteria that we set for ourselves in terms of being useful ways of spending our time is something that's really important. And that's another reason why I have such confidence in this onboarding process, is because it is something that screamed yes for me to both of these questions that are super important for me. It is definitely creating a valuable resources for not only my personally sponsored coaches, but my coaches' coaches and their coaches' coaches, ensuring that we are streamlining a process that doesn't have to be overcomplicated. And then as far as contributing to my vision of community, community on this team is imperative and important and valuable, and something that I put a lot of time, effort, and energy into. And ensuring that our coaches are onboarded in a way that is conducive to our team environment and creating that sense of community is something that, like I said, kind of screamed yes to me. So the first steps to onboarding newbies. I just want to walk through these 5 specific steps. I literally do these things in this order. It's very simplistic. And guess what? You have access to every single part of these resources in our Under Tools and Training, our Coaches Hub on the Dream Dynasty Coach website. So I want you to keep in mind that it's not always going to be easy. In fact, sometimes it could be quite challenging, but I don't want you to look at this as a hard process. Find what works for you, streamline it, make it your own, and just go with it. The hardest part is just getting started in terms of finding an onboarding process that works for you and your team. I want you to take notes over these next few things and choose what works for you. I also want you to be resourceful. You guys, you have your back office, you have YouTube, you have Google, you have so many resources to help you find what works for you. Those are the resources that I have used to create this onboarding process. Don't forget that our coaches build their dreams. We don't need to do it for them. Take that burden off of yourself to ensure that your coaches are successful, and just provide them with the resources that they need to take their business into their own hand. So the first thing that I like to do is obviously send them a welcome email, which you have access to under the Documents and Templates tab. It's just an email that welcomes them to our team, kind of explains our team community and environment, and gives them steps as to what to do next. And that email explains that they need to go through the Getting Started training, they need to set up a GSR call with me, and then they will proceed to the new coach training, and I'll touch on that in just a second. So they sign up as a coach, they're ready to go. I send them that email. I also will immediately go to our team page and post a welcome photo in the team page. Just a little picture of them, maybe something cute and creative that I've done on PicMonkey or Canva, and just with an introduction, some brief, a few things that I know about that new coach, and then I will ask that new coach to introduce themselves as well. Something else that I do as far as team pages is concerned is obviously add them to all of the really important team pages that we are a part of on Facebook. So if you're not one of my personally sponsored coaches, you want to make sure that you are adding, if you have your own team page, that you're adding your personally sponsored coaches to all the pages on Facebook that you think are important. And in the Getting Started training, you will see a list of pages that I have found to be super imperative for my new coaches to ensure that they are a part of as well. So I send them the new coach email. It walks them through exactly what they need to do to get started. I post the welcome photo in the team page. The next thing that the coach will do is go through my Getting Started training. And guys, you have access to all of these resources on our Coaches Hub. If you have trouble finding anything, don't hesitate to let me know. And like I said, that welcome email that I use is under the Documents and Templates section as well. So the Getting Started training kind of just walks them through a lot of the basics that the Coach Online Office new coach training does. It tells them what pages they need to be a part of. It reminds them to bookmark and set alarms for our weekly team calls. It explains what their first month or two of coaching will look like. It shows them how to set up their websites. Just really good, useful information to get them started. Essentially, a lot of the first 30 objectives are in this specific training. Just good basic tools to get them started. I encourage you to go to the Getting Started training tab, and if you have trouble finding that, let me know, and just kind of go through it and ensure that that is content that you want your coach to go through. You can definitely recreate this, like I said, to fit your specific style or needs. So once they go through this Getting Started training, at the end of that training, I tell them that they need to set up a GSR call with me. I want them to set up the Getting Started Right call with me after they do the Getting Started training, just for the simple fact that I want them to be able to have a little bit of knowledge to ask questions during that call. This call is one-on-one. It's a way for me to get to know them a little better, to review that Getting Started training, to let them know what this process looks like moving forward, get an idea and a sense of their goals and their desires for their business, and to just learn a little bit as to how I can help them hold them accountable to their business goals. There's also some resources in the Coaches Hub as to what a GSR call should look like, some tracking resources that you can use during those calls as well, and as a follow-up too. So they go through the getting started training, we do our call, and then at the end of the call, I will remind them that they need to go back through the new coach training. This is essentially like a new coach university, or just a new coach kind of getting started. Here's all of the logistics and basics of being a coach. At this point, through the getting started training, they should have already gone through their back office new coach training that Beachbody provides to them. So by the time they get to the new coach training, they should have a good understanding as to what being a coach really means. This new coach training will kind of just help dive a little bit deeper into the income aspect and how to invite and all of our basic vital behaviors and things that we do on a daily basis as a coach. This is a topic of conversation for another training video, but I follow up with my coaches on a consistent basis and utilize a tracking tool that you have access to under the Coaches Hub to ensure that I'm checking in with them on a regular basis to hold them accountable to their business goals. And so at that time, as we're checking in, I will encourage them to go through our Emerald training and then our Push to Diamond training. And we have push groups that I host on Facebook as well, in order to ensure that all of the coaches who are kind of in the same place in their business are working together and using each other to hit those rank advancement goals. So this is just the very basic first steps to onboarding a new coach. So I send them the welcome email, I welcome them in our team page, add them to all of the pages that I want them to be a part of. They go through the getting started training, we set up a GSR call, and then I encourage them to go through the new coach training. Sort of the end of the onboarding road. So once they've kind of done all of these things, I allow them to host a challenge group with me, 1 to 2 challenge groups as an apprentice. And what that basically means is that they are co-leading the challenge group with me. They're sharing motivation, they're being engaged and interactive in that group. And it's just a way to sort of help them kind of go through the motions one time before kind of throwing them to the deep end, if you will. So I think this part is really important, because if they just start leading challenge groups on their own and accountability groups on their own, and they have no idea what they're doing, and they're not being resourceful enough to figure it out, then it can get really overwhelming, and we definitely don't want our coaches to get overwhelmed. They will continue to plug into the team page, set their alarm and reminders for our weekly team calls, and they will be engaged. I also want to encourage them to find a success partner. Guys, this is imperative. Somebody that you work really closely with. They don't have to be on the same team or my team or your upline's team. They just have to be somebody that you connect with. And there's a ton of training videos and content on finding the perfect match for a success partner. So I encourage you to look into that as well, and encourage your coaches to do the same. They will continue to be a part of the team. They will go to Summit with us. They will, like I mentioned a second ago, show up to team calls and host glimpse groups, and just continue to be a part of our growing tribe. This is the push groups in training, point 5, that I was talking about a second ago. If they're having trouble hitting Emerald, I will put all of my coaches who are pushing for Emerald into a Facebook group or a message thread, and we will all work together on how we can accomplish those goals. And the same thing for Diamond. If I have a handful of Emerald coaches that are pushing for Diamond, I will put them all in a message thread or a Facebook group, and that it will be our sole point of contact in terms of helping each other work through those obstacles and struggles and fears, challenges to hit those rank advancement goals. And then we're just going to rally to our goals, you guys. Once we've gone through all these trainings and we continue to learn and grow and plug into our team, we're just going to keep setting goals, helping our coaches set goals, and move forward. And that's really it. That is all this process of onboarding a new coach is about. And once you take the burden off of yourself to ensure that your coaches are successful, it's life-changing, because they have all of the resources that they need. You just need to show them where those resources are. The last thing I wanted to touch on really briefly was this sense of team community. Being a part of this team is just as life-changing to me at times as the health and fitness aspect of being a coach and being a product of Beachbody as well. When the team encourages the team, it's way more fun. So when we're all interactive on our team page and we're posting and we're sharing and we're sharing what works for us and what doesn't work for us, and we're doing live videos in that page, anybody can utilize our team pages in any way that they want. So we need to remind our coaches as they're getting plugged in and staying connected to our team that that's what these pages are for. Our weekly Dream Dynasty team calls. This is not a lecture session. We're not in college. Some of us might be, but that's not the purpose of these calls. The purpose of these calls is to provide value and content to our team, but to also interact and ask questions and get questions answered as well. Success Club recognition, rank advancement recognition, leadership ladder recognition. These are all things that we do and recognize as a team, specifically on Thursdays, to ensure that we are uplifting each other. And it's important for our coaches to know that that is the sort of team community that we have built within Dream Dynasty, and that we will continue to build as our team grows and gets bigger. And most importantly, just show up. Just show up. Show up to team calls, show up in the page, show up to your business, show up to your goals. Just show up. You show up and you encourage your coaches to show up. And like I said, there's only so much that you can do, but when we build this sense of community and empowerment, and they're gonna want to show up. And that's our responsibility, is to be the cheerleader and the motivator and the encourager, and the person who reminds them that if they can dream it and wish it, they can do it. And we have given them all of the resources to be able to do so. 3 things to think about. I want you to start asking yourself if your time is being spent on something that you think is going to create a valuable resource. Ask yourself if the time that you're spending on that one thing is going to contribute to your vision of team community, or whatever your priorities are. Like I said earlier, if it is to ensure that your challengers are getting the best results possible, ask yourself if where you're spending your time in your business is doing those things for you. I want you to think about what you can do this week to prepare for this growing team and this community, whether that's a video to your team or in our team page, or a pin post, an email, etc. I want you to think about these things moving forward to ensure that you are providing your team with the resources that they need. Guys, that's pretty much all I have for onboarding new coaches with confidence. I hope that this was a little helpful in terms of the processes that I go through to onboard a new coach. Don't forget that you have access to every single resource that was mentioned in this specific training video. It's all under the Coaches Hub, under Tools and Training, and then that new coaches training and the Getting Started training as well. So you can kind of go through those to make sure that that is something that you want to provide to your new coaches. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to let me know. Share your questions, comments, concerns, and successes and challenges in our team page. And I cannot wait to hear how this works for you, or how you kind of tweaked it to make it your own. So in the meantime, hope you all have a fabulous rest of your week, and I will talk to you soon.